Oh, hi. You know, one of the nicest, one of the funnest things about working at a vintage guitar store are the vintage guitars. And the really prime collectibles have always gone up in value. The stuff made in the 50s Les Pauls are the most expensive guitar in our world, with 50s Les Paul, a 59 standard, reaching $250,000 or more. The other models in the lineup, the juniors, the specials, and the customs like this are of interest too, very much so. These are rare guitars. This is a 1961 Les Paul Custom. Now, you might say to yourself, well, didn't they make SGs in 1961? Yes. This is also a 1961 Les Paul Custom. We just got this in. This has not been run through the shop. This has been sitting in a closet for 20 years and has its matching Gibson amplifier. But somebody had special ordered this 61 Les Paul for it to come in. This was just starting to be produced, and when people saw this shape, they weren't, it took a while this was a little too modern for a lot of people in 1960-61, and they did order a few of these. We did have a 1961 burst years ago, but a 61 Les Paul Custom, they don't show up very often. There's a handful of these, but the shipping totals say there's zero. That if you look at the shipping totals for Gibson, they claim there are none of these Les Paul Customs like this. That's when they made these. There's only 500 of these in 1961. So there's very limited numbers to go around, and this is a worldwide collector's item. Many collectors, by the way, will try to get as many of these things as they can because they tend to go up in value. This is particularly, for us, interesting because we just published a story about finding Jimmy Page's guitar. Some of you may have read Vintage Guitar Magazine or the newest edition of Guitar World magazine, where we talk about Jimmy Page having lost a guitar, a 1960, with these type of knobs on it here in Minneapolis. And it showed up at Willie's, and we found it, and now it's back in Jimmy Page's hands. He called us up. He's a very nice guy. He's a brilliant musician. He's Jimmy Page. So what's interesting is that this has the same neck. Having played Jimmy Page guitar 100 times, it had an interestingly smaller neck. He's famous for liking slightly smaller necks, as this one has, and it's just like his, except his had a Bigsby. But 3 PAFs, completely straight, very light finish checking on it. This is a blue chip collectible. And these Les Paul Customs, Customs, like a lot of collectibles, if you collect stamps, you're not using it to mail. If you collect watches, you've got the time on your cell phone. And if you collect comic books, you're not going to sit up late at night and read them in bed. So a lot of times people will put these on display, static display, you might say, but they make wonderful musical instruments. Now, these two have just gotten in moments ago, so we haven't run these through the shop. This too needs to go through the shop and have its pots cleaned, but this is a 100% original Gibson Les Paul Custom, and this is a 100% original Gibson Les Paul Custom. So this having the side-to-side tremolo, the big block inlays, the gold hardware, and a big chunky neck. Here's something for you deep inside guys. When you see gold hardware on Gibson guitars from the 50s and 60s, most times you got a slightly shaved down neck. The necks will be a little bit smaller. So where a regular neck will be 1 11/16, a gold hardware Gibson will be 1 10/16, just that slightest little bit smaller. But this guitar has a big, wide, fat neck. These are both really cool collectibles. The amplifier needs to go through the shop. This needs to go through the shop. But while I had them together, I just wanted to share this with you. It's unbelievable to get these both in and around the same day. A 61 Les Paul Custom and a 61 Les Paul Custom. Yeah, I know, right? There you go.